Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, January 29th. Today is FOMC day, for those of you that don't know. I am currently in a trade. This is my second trade of the day. Let me make sure I updated my stats correctly here. No, I did not update my stats correctly. On this last trade, I took this tick up here as the delta was turning up, and I took two off at 80, I took one off at 125, and then I took the runner off on this tick down here, which was, looks like 21 3/4. So I got to update that in my stats. So that's 21.75. There we go. That's more like it. All right. Now, since I'm in a trade, I got to focus on this for the time being here. If we end up ticking down with this lower high here, I got to pull it. All right. Oh, yeah. Good thing I pulled it. Small little profit there. 2 1/4, it looks like. I knew I was kind of pushing it here since I'm taking these in the red zone here, but I'm trying to get better about taking the better setups even when it's in the red zone. As you can see, like this one, this tick up here was in the red zone. I took that. That was a nice winner. And in the past, I never would have taken that simply because it was in the red zone. But I'm trying to get better about taking those when the delta and the confirmation lines start turning up like that, because usually that's when the momentum just starts to begin. And if you miss that, a lot of times you just end up chasing afterwards. So that's why I tried to jump in there on that. And then I jumped back in on this one thinking that we might get a little bit more momentum in the delta, but the delta's still pretty darn weak. So with that lower high tick down there, you're better off just pulling it. Anyway, K. John, good morning. Not sure if we have anyone else on here right now. ML, good morning. I know JWaz was trading. I was messaging him earlier, but I don't know if he's on the stream yet. Schroden's here. Good morning. All right. So today, like I said, is FOMC day. Could be, a lot of people sit this day out because it can get kind of nasty. I tend to like these days because for my trading style, it actually works out pretty good most of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of times we'll see like a drift leading into FOMC at 1 p.m. today. So we'll see. Sometimes the drift can be kind of a choppy, trendy drift. We'll see. Hossein, good morning. Speaking of news, let's go ahead and pull the news up. Gotta refresh the page to get today's news. There we go. Looks like we got overnight rate today at 8:45. It's 8:20 right now, my time. Anytime you load the trading timer locally on your own machine, it will it will set these times to your local time automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. Let's see what else is going on today. BOC press conference at 9:30. That's for Canada. Crude oil inventories, federal funds rate at 1, and then the FOMC statement or press conference at 1:30. Tomorrow, looks like we have advanced GDP and unemployment at 7:30. That'll be a decent news event. Should jostle the market a little. There's JWaz. Good morning, JWaz. Schroden, do your power zones go away when you chuck other symbols? Do the rectangles need to be set up for every symbol? Yeah, you know, unfortunately, that's the downside to how I do it, is that, you know, my power zones are drawn in mat automatically, or I'm sorry, not drawn in automatically. So if I go in here and I change my chart to, let's say, one of these, yeah, see how the power zones and all of that go away. So yeah, the drawings are instrument specific. So when you add the drawing manually, when you change the instrument, if you haven't drawn it in on the next instrument, it's not going to be there. So that's why it would be nice if Zeiierman would actually just build that into the indicator. And so, what am I doing here? Futures. There we go. NQ. No, that's not it. MNQ. There we go. Yeah, that's why it would be nice if Zeiierman would go ahead and build that in and then give us the option to set our power zones at whatever level we want. So I use 0.001 and 0.009, but in futures I typically use that, but in crypto I typically use 0.002 for my entry power zone, just to be a little bit more aggressive. You just get more entries that way. They might be lesser quality entries. There's always a trade-off, right? Anyhow. But yes, that would be nice if Zeiierman would add the ability to set your power zones, set whatever color you want to use for that. And, you know, he does let you set your higher low and lower high triangle settings. So like I have mine configured so it only prints lower highs in the upper half and higher lows in the bottom half. But I could change that. You could go in here and he doesn't call them higher lows and lower highs. I refer to those that way because that's exactly what they are. But in the settings, that's this level bull, level bear, the up down tick signal. That's what he calls it. But that can be confusing. Or, you know, in my opinion, that could be confusing because I refer to all of these as ticks. Like I refer to this as a tick down. According to that, this is a tick down. So I refer to all of these as a tick down. This is a tick down as well, but this is a lower high to this tick down. This is a lower high to this tick down. If that makes sense. So I think the terminology could also be improved a little bit. Anyway, higher time frames. Looks like we are, well, we ticked up from that lower power zone down here on the 15. The 15 has been in a significant uptrend, could be a sustained uptrend, but now that Delta starting to come down. Got to be a little bit careful. Technically, we're bearish there, so should be looking for shorts on the 15. 5 minute is bearish, clearly under the confirmation line on the 5. And the 3, it looks like we're possibly going to turn bullish here once we get back over that confirmation line. We are pushing up nicely, but we got VWAP sitting here at the 200 and previous day high. So could potentially reject from there. On the 1 minute, the delta doesn't really have much conviction to it. It's very thin. So I'd like to see those thicken up, which they probably would if we got past VWAP. And we got the open coming up here in about 3.5 minutes. So with the open right around the corner and the signal in the upper power zone, the chances of the initial move being to the downside are fairly high. Plus, we got the signal on the 3 minute right up against the ceiling right now. So if you get a tick down there on the 3, you could have a decent pullback on the 3. Same on the 5. Well, not same on the 5. The 5 is in the upper half, but not the upper power zone. But if you got a tick down in that upper half on the 5, that would be a short on the 5. So it kind of looks like we're setting up for maybe a down move here, potentially. Unless it can really pop it on the open. Like I said, Delta's very thin, so there's not a whole lot of conviction with the bulls to this upside move here. I think we might be getting the start of that rejection right now. We did tap VWAP and tapped previous day high. We are flashing that tick down on the 3. Looks like some sellers are trying to front run this a little bit. I don't see not a setup for me though, not yet anyway. Now, on the other hand, we do have our confirmation line pointed up. So we could also be setting up for a long potentially. We are open. It was very typical to see if we open with the signal up here, the initial move is going to be a move to the downside. If we open it with the signal at the bottom, initial move is usually to the upside. And that's exactly what's playing out here today. You could have shorted this tick down right here, but it's just not really a great setup, to be honest. I mean, unless you're looking at this as, you know, a completely new market starting at 8:30, which it pretty much is every day. If you're just playing the signal line right before that open, that would be it. 8:28 would be the short. But the delta and the confirmation line did not necessarily agree with that. On the 3-minute, on the other hand, that was a short. Let's go pull the 3 up. On the 3-minute, it's beautiful because you still have the confirmation line pointed down. You got the tick down from the power zone. So on the 3, the short was right here. And if you didn't like that big candle, it looks like you probably could have grabbed the 8 right there, right on the end of the wick. It's a pretty nice move so far. And the 5 looks like it's about to fall in line here. And the 15. Well, we just sliced through the daily open. That delta is falling fast. See what the 2-minute look like. Here's the 2. Not really a great setup on the 2 either. All right, we just got a tick up from that lower power zone. Delta's still falling pretty fast, but with that kind of a move, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of a snapback. Delta is, those delta candles are really thick though. So the momentum could push this further to the downside, that's for sure. Those candles are getting thicker, they're not tapering down at all. All right, now we're getting a little bit of a push back up. This actually might be a decent long here. All right, I'm long. From 565. That original tick up would have been a little better of an entry, but I'm just looking for a little bit of a snapback. Not asking for much. And it got me. My stop was likely way too small for those candles. Look how big that candle is. My stop was right here. That's 80 ticks. So now, reason why I took that is because on the one, for the most part, this confirmation line's still positive, even though we had this hard push down. And typically on the open like that, if we get a tick up from the power zone with confirmation line slope, it usually plays out. Still could play out. I could have just been a little too early on that one. Usually you at least get a little bit of a pop in there. ML sucks when I can call levels like that, but struggle at times to enter. Yeah, I know. Me too sometimes. The open is tough. And this downside move just had so much momentum, and it takes a while to put the brakes on. You know, it's funny because usually when the delta candles are this thick, I would not take a tick up like that. But when I don't take those, they usually end up at least playing out and hitting my 80 tick take profit. Then I kick myself for not taking them. So sometimes you're damned if you do and damned if you don't, you know? Good morning, Stealth. But the slope on the confirmation line in you know, more of the recent past is now a negative slope. But I would still say, like, overall, we got a positive slope going on here. So I still think there's going to be a move up. Now, waiting for the close above the 8 might be the smarter thing to do. We never actually got a close above the 8 there. But it looks like it's working at it now, potentially. We are starting to put in our first higher low as well on the signal. Try to snag another entry on the 8. Just got picked up. $21,548. That's where I'm in. Oh, well, that got me quick. Jeez. That was like instantaneous. Dang. Okay, well. The open is proving not to be easy today. Looks like shorts are where it's at. Well, looks like I would have been better off just taking that signal tick down from that upper power zone right before the open. That was definitely the better entry. There was a lower high that it printed right when I got stopped out. Right here, right after that higher low. It was at 841. Just curious to see if that would have won. Would have hit 80 ticks for sure. Still, I've started using the buy-sell toolkit from Zeiierman after getting destroyed on Monday, trying to buy the market. Keeps me out of bad trades. You know, there's a lot of people that like that buy-sell toolkit. I'm curious to see how you have it configured. You think it's helping, though? Look at that. It pulled right up to the 8. Sold off again. You know, I used to have that on my charts, and I used to use that. Or I should say, I tried using it. I still had better results with just the cumulative delta when I focused on that. But that's just me personally. I know a lot of people like it. Buy, sell toolkit. You're using the Expo one, right? not the strategy. Buy sell pressure strategy. I think that's different. Which of these are you using in here? Ultimate Trend, Trend Advisor. Are you using the signals, the buy sell signals? Just have it on default. Well, the default for me, all this was off. So let's see what it looks like. Oh, so you just have that little cloud thing on there. Looks like it was right on the money here. Yeah, that looks good. You know, that's gonna, for trending stuff, it'll look good. For sideways stuff, I don't know. All this is sideways here. That's the problem I've always had is, you know, identifying whether you're sideways or trending was always the hard part until I found the cumulative delta. And it's fairly easy to see when you're going sideways. Good morning, Raphael. You use it when it matches the cumulative delta. That makes sense. It's probably not a bad plan. JWaz, you're trading the 5-second chart? Holy cow. What does that even look like? You know, that would actually be a fun pace, I think. Looks kind of choppy, though. At least so far. Unless your strategy is to just take power zones. I still think the 15-second might be a good sweet spot. I do feel like the 15-second has a nice pace to it. I need to update that trading timer for a 15-second chart. You know, right now I got 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute. The the lowest alert interval you can set right now is 15 seconds. So say you're trading a 1 minute chart, it'll alert you 15 seconds before the candle closes. But I need to get some more options in here. It's probably pretty loud for you guys, huh? Turn that down. All right. Back to the 1 minute. ML, I struggle with reading the market structure. No clue why it's so hard, but my brain has to focus really hard to see it. Do you mean like just higher highs and lower lows, or what kind of market structure? Yeah, I think I am going to try the 15-second for a stream, but I want to give, this experiment I'm trying to run with scaling out of trades, I want to give it a good chance on the 1 minute, so I'm still trying to stick to that. And once I'm done with that experiment, I'll try something else. Simple market metrics, huh? Zeiierman has some market structure indicators as well. He's got a SMC indicator that has market. I think there's a market structure toolkit too. Now, if we just go back and do a little review here, you see how thick, here, I'll get rid of this arrow. But do you see what it is, how earlier I said I normally never would have taken a tick down or a tick up from the power zone with the delta that thick? Well, looks like this actually proved again that you just need to wait. You need to wait until that thickness starts to taper, and then this is the higher low right there. If I would have just waited for this one, this higher low on the signal after the delta was just about exhausted, that's right here, that would have done the trick. There's 80 ticks. There's 125. I would have got my full TP on that one. So the thickness of those delta candles does matter. Whether it's tapering does matter. The slope matters. There's kind of a lot of variables there to track, but it's not too difficult once you get used to that. The hard part is actually believing the indicator. Like a lot of times I feel like the market's going to do something, like there. I jumped in. I wasn't really believing the indicator yet. I gave it another shot after it closed above the 8, but Delta was telling me it wasn't ready. So even after doing this for a couple years, using this indicator, I still sometimes struggle believing what it's telling me. Now we got some chop setting in. First sign of chop on the delta since the open. Jerry Lott, no, if they want to play, they should be in there on class. Is that you replying to somebody else? I guess I don't know what you're referring to. Market just barcoding right now. You can see it in that choppy delta. The 5 seconds nailing it for you. Nice. What are you using for your entries? Power zones? Looks like this would have been good. There to there. Back down to here. The delta cross here on the way down. That could be fun. Got the 9 o'clock hourly candle turning over. Putting in our second high or low. No, actually, that's the third. With a rising delta. Not official, though. Oh, it's official now. Schroden had to step away for a few times, so forgive me if you've talked about this, but what do you think of the short entry just before the open on the 3-minute? I did talk about that earlier. That was a good short, but it was the only right here from that upper power zone at 827. Yeah, that was a good short entry, especially because the delta tapered down to negative right there. There just wasn't really a good entry on the 1 or the 2. You know, if we look back, we did get this tick down from the upper power zone, and we did turn negative right there. It was like right before the open. And we were rejecting from the 200 and the previous day high and VWAP. So I wanted to go short here. I was just looking for a better setup, and but never really got it because the delta had a positive slope. Confirmation line had a positive slope at that point. And I don't really like to trade against that. So I was looking for more of like a setup in here. I wanted it to come down, come back up, and then give me a short signal, but never got that. Just dumped right from the start. Now this one here with this second higher low, I was thinking about possibly going long there because we do have this rising delta. And 2 higher lows above a rising delta usually is a decent long. And looks like I would have got 80 ticks there. Almost 125. Could have moved my, the rest of the contracts to break even, so that would have been a winner. But I did not take it. K. John, when you get a chance, can you explain your version of front running? My version of front running? Well, I did mention that, I guess, earlier when we opened. I said some shorts were jumping in and front running the move. What I meant by that is they were just selling off right before we opened here. That's all I meant by it. I don't know if there's like a technical meaning for that or not, but I could see that a short was developing, and the shorts were stepping in already here at 828, here at 829, and then the open, it just, you saw what happened. It just dumped. So that's all I meant by that, if that's what you're referring to. Schroden, easy to see in hindsight, but hard to take that when the 1-minute cumulative delta was so far above the comp line. I know, that's exactly why I didn't take it, Schroden. It's because there just wasn't a good entry. I don't like just jumping in thinking it's gonna sell off the way that it did, because usually that doesn't sell off right out of the gate like that. It usually builds a little bit of structure first. Now, I look at this now and I just see a giant bear flag. We got our long pole, we got our flag consolidating here. Wouldn't be surprised if we make a bigger move to the downside. Schroden, the best is when 5 minutes before news comes out, you see a strong move start on the cumulative delta, almost as if some people might know the news before they should. You know what? I talk about that a lot, actually. Usually, right before news and right before the open, you can see where it's going to go. Like usually with, like here, this was kind of a bad example of that, but we did get that tick down right before 828, It usually kind of shows its hand first of where you're going to go. But usually the setup is actually a decent setup as well. You know, like for example, let's just say that we crossed above the confirmation line right there. And let's just say that the open was at 750. If that was the case, I totally would have longed this right here. That higher low. That's a delta squeeze setup right before a news event or right before the open. Almost always plays out. But typically, and I know what you're saying, it's like people know, they know what's coming. And the delta usually shows it. Back to the daily open. Be a good place for it to reject. We got the daily open here. We also got the anchored VWAP, which is right here at 21,555, anchored to that 7 o'clock candle. We also got the signal in the upper power zone. If this bear flag is going to play out anyway. But if we can get above that, I mean, it looks like the bulls are in control at the moment. We're above the confirmation line. It's looking stronger. It's not looking any weaker. Okay, John, do you play FOMC news? I usually do, if I'm around. Sometimes I can't because I have other things going on in the afternoon, but I try to. Tesla earnings today, huh? That'll probably be a big one. All right, Delta is tapering. We are getting it ticks down from that power zone. I think I might go ahead and give this one a shot. All right. I am short. Two contracts off already at 80 ticks. Let's see, where was I in? 535, 375. I'll just say 25 since I can't do 37 on there. So there's 80 ticks. Instead of 125 on this one, I would have got the 125 as well, but I moved that contract down to the low. So we'll see if I can get hit there for looks like 165 ticks on that if I can get it. Go ahead and move my stops to break even now. So I still got two contracts on. Of course, it wants to go stop out my other contracts before heading back down. Get down there. Yeah. All right. Well, looks like I only got 80 on that one for two contracts. Would have had the 125 if I left it alone, but I moved that one down. See, it's right at the end of the wick there. Anyway. So, two contracts. I'll make that 3. And we got more chop in the Delta. We have seen so much chop lately. Kind of getting sick of that. I feel like the last 2 weeks at least has been particularly bad from a chop perspective. Well, now we have a negative slope on the Delta. We are ticking down on the 3. The 5 is flashing a tick down. Negative deltas on both of those. On the 15, we're starting to potentially put in a higher low here. But the delta is still falling. So I'm still looking for shorts on the 15, 5, and 3. So if we end up putting in a lower high here, I might jump back and short. Looks like that chop never actually was official, so I'll take that chop box off. We did just put in a lower high, and I just went short again. Short from 21.516.25. Move my TP a little bit on this one to the low since 80 ticks was so close. So it'll be 89 ticks if I can get it. Is she gonna chop more? Ay, ay, ay. And I am out. That's my third full stop for the day. That's no fun. I guess the bear flag said, nope, it didn't want to be a bear flag. ATR's at a 75. Pretty high. Well, it is official. It was chopped now. We have our alternating delta right there. JWaz, is your 5-second chart still working out for you? Ooh, look at those good entries right there. It's a long. This right here is a long. Nice, JWaz. Looks like I should maybe move over to the 5-second in this nasty chop. You know, that's what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm going to try to get more options in my trading timer so that if I want to trade a lower time frame, I can. This is the 15-second here. Well, looks like this tick down from the red zone with the weak delta would have been a good winner. That would be right here. There's 80 ticks. There's 125. And finally, it takes the low. That's what I was looking for earlier. Just didn't want to do it. Well, we did reject off that daily open. It just took, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 tries? Nice, ML. Yeah, it's probably a decent decision to just call it if you're up for the day. Looking back, I wish I would have taken that tick down from that red zone. Let's see how this power zone tick up does right here at 929. Let's simulate it. Delta's still looking pretty heavy, so my guess is this one probably won't work out. We also put in a lower high on the 3 and on the 5 back here at 920. Looks like this one actually might be a winner anyway. Yep, that would have been a winner. There's 80 ticks. Let's see if it hits 125. Well, it looks like would have won on 80, but not quite 125. All right, we just put in a lower high on the signal. Delta still fairly weak there. This could be a short. Or we could be putting in a delta squeeze here, potentially. We have a positive slope on the delta. Delta is positive. Doesn't mean a whole lot when you're chopping, though. Do have a choppy delta. Should be a short, though, with that lower high right here. As long as that delta stays weak. I snagged a short in there at 511.75. Did not quite hit 80 ticks. Let's see if we can reject off the 8 here. Gonna move stop to break even after this candle close. All right, broke even on that one. I'm gonna go grab some coffee. I'll be right back. Oh, now it's going to reject off the 8 right after it forces me out. You know, if I was just playing the signal line, I'd still be in there. It never did tick up. But I didn't like how it closed right there on the line. So yeah, that would have been a winner. It would have been a nice winner, actually. Definitely would have got 125. Would have still had a runner on. Let's see, would the 5-second catch that? On the 5-second, you do have a negative slope on the confirmation line, but the delta does go above. You know, those always those can be tricky. If it kind of lags a little bit, you get this lower high here. And see that you get that sideways chop action there. That can be tricky. This last candle there might force you out before it goes. Depending on where you have your stop set, anyway. If you had a decent stop on it, even if you just took the first tick down and waited it out, you would have been fine. This delta cross in that lower power zone nailed the turn up on that one. We do have a little bit of bullish divergence here on the 1. Came down to that pivot line at 456. Looks like we're trying to bounce on there potentially. Delta's still heading down though, so still selling off. Getting that bounce off that pivot line. It's trying. It is trying. We're breaking that trend line there. Back up at the 50. Still not a good entry though. We are still pushing here. Still no entry. We just ticked down from that upper power zone on the 1. We also just had a delta cross to the upside. So those are always tough because the cross to the upside should be turning more bullish at that point. But the tick down from the upper power zone, you should end up getting a little bit of a pullback. So at the moment, I am more bullish than I am bearish. Looking for a long. Curious to see if this tick down would have worked though. That would have been the entry. There's 80 ticks right there. All right. Got a rising delta, rising confirmation line, and we got a tick up right here. So I am going to try a long. I am long from 21 to 506.25. What is going on with my computer? I don't know what just happened, but I couldn't move my mouse to my other machine. Is it still working for you guys? And my whole screen just kind of glitched out. Anyway, seems to be working now. By the way, you know, I have 3 computers here. I got 2 laptops and then my main computer here in the middle. And so I share the same keyboard and mouse across all 3. I use a free software called Barrier to do that. Don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's pretty cool. Kind of glitches out every now and then, but for the most part, it works just fine. You can even copy paste between machines, which is kind of nice. Schroden, I remember Synergy. I used to use Synergy probably 15 years ago, something like that. I think, honestly, I think it's the same code as Synergy. I think they forked it. I think they forked it and then made some tweaks. Yeah, it's good when you're trying to mix operating platforms or operating systems. That's what I'm doing here. I got Windows and OS X. Come on, market. You're so close to hitting my take profit. What are you doing? Just need a little bit of wind behind the sail here. Come on. It was so close. But no cigar. Well, maybe. There's still a chance. And nope, I'm out. All right, so look at that. I was right there. A tick away from my take profit. Still turned into a loser. In one candle. Lost 7 1/4 on that one. So minus 26. Well, this price action is ugly today, guys. It is ugly. I thought we might start drifting in one direction or the other, leading into FOMC, but it hasn't done any of that yet. It is just chopping sideways. Here's the 30-second chart. And the 15. And the 5. Stealth BS toolkit is still bearish, so I've only been looking for sells. Yeah. Logic would say that if all your EMAs are bearish and you're under VWAP and under your anchored VWAP, you should be bearish, looking for shorts. Logically speaking, that seems to make sense. However, if you look at this chop, you can get stopped out with shorts just as easily as you can the longs. Some of the best moves here. Well, one of the best moves was a long right here. An equally nice move was this short right here. There's long winners in here. I just didn't take them. This one almost was a winner. Not quite. Here's a short I got stopped out on. But yeah, most of my losers are definitely the longs here. Right out of the gate, those two from the open. That kind of hurt me right from the start. Now, from the 1 minute perspective, this tick up from the lower power zone with delta above a rising confirmation line should be a long. So I'm going to give it a shot. All right, I am long right there. You know, out of this entire section, so far, this is like the best signal that we've had. You know, basically, most of all of this was junk. This is the first clear signal that we've had. Delta is, it's not strong nor weak. It's been trying to push up. It's above conf. Do have a positive slope on the confirmation line. And it's a power zone tick up. Still choppy delta though, so we got to get out of this chop. Treacherous waters here. Do the bulls have it in them? They're ticking down here, so doesn't look like it. And I'm out. Small loss on that one. 4.5. See how the delta's negative, but it's curling up? That's usually a leading indicator. See if we get a higher low here, and I'll go back in. Yeah, that one looked like it was going to work, didn't it? But the bulls aren't here. I think they're waiting for FOMC. Wouldn't be surprised if we kind of hang out down here and then we have FOMC and then we shoot north. It's our second tick up from that lower power zone. Wish Delta had a more of a positive slope to it. It is tapering. I think I'm going to pass on this one, and this is going to be the one that goes. Yep. Go figure. Stealth, you got to go. Well, thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a good one. Well, this is just a meat grinder, guys. This is a money-losing machine, at least on the 1 minute. So on the 5 second, JWAZ is having a lot more success with this. Maybe I need to take a closer look at it. If I move my 3 minute to a 30 second, let's see what that looks like. Look at that. The delta is just chopping straight down the middle on the 30 second. Well, maybe I should try something a little different here. I know I said I wasn't going to do that. I was going to try to stick to the 1, but the 1 is not working for me today. Not yet, anyway. Now we're putting in a higher low on the 1. Still that nasty spotty delta, though. Okay, John, we get these big moves up or down in the chop. I believe it's the market waiting for the moving averages to catch up to the move. Like the 24 seems to be a good average. Yeah, I would agree with that. Schroden, the voice of reason. We are allowed to stay out. I know. I've been trying to force stuff here. Which is, and you know, the reason why I do that is because the second I stop, then the market, it's like, okay, Tommy's gone. We can flow nicely now. But if it doesn't stop, you can get eaten alive pretty quick. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4 big chop boxes all throughout this whole section. But if you look, I do think this is turning up here. You know, the second that this went above the confirmation line, I turned bullish. And it's taking its sweet time, but I think it's working its way there. We're starting to see the strongest delta for the bulls that we've seen so far. So I think we are getting very close to that time. We also have this other trend line to break here. But Schroden, I would totally agree with you. And I think the playbook actually mentions that. It talks about how it's actually more important to learn and know when to stay out versus knowing when to get in. And for some reason, I always ignore my own advice. I don't know why I do that, but yeah, the second that you start seeing these chop boxes on the screen, playbook says walk away. In other words, don't do what I do. Do what the playbook says. Jason, the 20 SMA on the 5 has been strong. On the 5 minute. Look at that consolidation on the 5. Just a rat's nest. But yeah, that 20 is holding on the 5 so far. I feel like this is all just accumulation for a giant move to the upside. Schroden, that is true. Schroden says maybe the negative side of running the stream is you feel like you need to do stuff. That's true. That's like the other day. I was up 273 points, and before being up that high before the market opens, I likely would have just walked away, but I was just starting the stream and I'm like, well, I gotta stream for you guys. And what do? Market opens and I gave it all back. So I think there is something to that too, psychologically. Might help if we found something else to do on stream while we should be out of the market. Instead of just sitting here twiddling our thumbs. I don't know what we could do, but we need some entertainment. You know, before I started streaming, I used to listen to podcasts and things like that, and that actually helped. I remember I used to tell my wife all the time, like, you know, when I'm listening to Joe Rogan, I trade so much better, and I think it's because I'm not looking for stuff in the charts. I'm just looking for my setups, and if I don't see them, I'm listening to the podcast. I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to force things. So I think there is something to that. If you're sitting there and you're twiddling your thumbs and you don't have much to do, you tend to find reasons to enter the market when you probably shouldn't. Poker? Could we play poker on here? Yep, K. John. Knowing when to stay out and pick your battles with the market. That is, I think, the key. One of the main keys to success trading, for sure. You got to know when to stay out. It's just so hard, you know? It's hard when you want to trade and you look at the charts and you see all these chop boxes. It's hard to just walk away. The good news is the indicator tells you. It's telling, look at it. 1, 2, 3. There's actually a little chop box in here. That thin spotty delta. You could almost just extend this one because that little up move did not last. So the indicator's telling you to walk. Yeah, audiobooks and podcasts are great, but can't really do that on the stream unless you guys want to listen to the same stuff I do. Hey, speaking of, do you guys have any recommendations for a good podcast? I do. Um, have you guys listened to the telepathy tapes? I just recently listened to that, and that is mind-blowing. Wow. If you guys have not listened to the telepathy tapes, you should. Um, Start to finish. I know it's kind of long. There's a lot, you know, each episode I think is like 45 minutes or an hour. I think there's like 10 episodes or something like that, but man, that is some mind-blowing stuff. Is anyone familiar with that? If not, it is about it's about autistic kids that what do they call them? They call them non-speakers. So there's all these kids with autism who can't talk, and all the doctors have told their parents that, you know, there's basically like not really anything going on in there. Um, you know, they have a hard time like controlling their bodies, their muscle movement. A lot of them can, they can kind of speak but not really, or it takes a lot of effort for them to try to say something. And anyway, they have run all of these tests and basically proved that these kids have this like telepathic connection with primarily their mother, sometimes the father, sometimes other people. And but they can literally read their minds and they can communicate back and forth. And they have all of these stories in there of people just they bring all these different families on from all over the world, and they all have this thing in common where they have this telepathic connection to their kids. And their kids, they could for example, like say you don't even have to tell your kid where you're going or what you're doing. You can go, say you go out to a restaurant and order something on the menu, and you come home and they could ask their kid, where did I go and what did I order? And the kid will just immediately, oh, and by the way, they communicate through these, since they can't really talk, they have, what do they call it? They call them spellers. So there's like they basically type out, they can write, they can type. And the stuff that they type is like, it's intellectually mind-blowing. Like the way that they form sentences together and everything is like on par with like, somebody who's in college that is like very well educated. And a lot of these kids know multiple languages, stuff that nobody has ever even taught them. It's I mean, there's kids on there, they can't speak a lick of English, but they could write through this spelling keypad. They'll have like an iPad in front of them, and they'll write out and form these sentences that are like better than sentences I can form. I mean, it's just crazy. So they go from like not being able to speak at all to having, they're like geniuses. And not only in English, but some of them know Arabic. Some of them know, they can read like hieroglyphics, like stuff that nobody has ever taught these kids, and they just magically know this stuff from somewhere, from something nobody really knows. Um, but what's actually even more mind blowing is that these kids, they all have a connection with each other. So you'll have like a family who's has this autistic kid in Georgia, and he can communicate with this autistic kid that's in Arizona, and they've never met each other, and they know each other telepathically. And all these kids get together in this place in their minds that they called the hill. And I mean, you gotta check out this podcast. It is just crazy. And I mean, it sounds far-fetched, I know it does, but they meet with all of these families all over the world, and they have the exact same stories. um and like I said, there's this place that they go that they call the hill. And I don't know how it works, but all of these kids go to the hill, and that's like their entertainment, and they hang out with each other, and they all know each other. And there's like thousands of kids on this place called the hill. And there's actually these two autistic kids that met each other on the hill before they met each other physically in person, and they became boyfriend and girlfriend. And then like in the physical world, they met, and it's like they knew each other forever. Um, I mean, it's crazy. You got to check it out. Anyways, we have more chop on the screen. Surprise, surprise. JWaz, that's a lot to process while trading. JWaz, didn't I send you like the link to that a while ago? If you haven't checked it out, you really should. I mean, there's something there. And even though we can't like scientifically explain it, there's something happening there. Um, I mean, they prove that they have solid proof in this podcast that this is actually happening. Nobody understands how or why though. Yeah, I could find you a link. Would you like the Spotify link, or would you like the YouTube? I think there's a YouTube one too. Oh, and you know what's even crazier is one of the kids in their families that's on the telepathy tapes. My wife used to work with that kid's mom. So like super small world. They live in Wisconsin, and so there's a whole episode just on their family. Um, which is crazy. All right, here's the link. Paste it in the chat. But make sure you go back and start at like episode 1 and just kind of work your way through it. Check out Darknet Diaries. What's that one about? Is that one on Spotify? Explore true stories of the dark side of the internet with host Jack Reisider. So he takes you on a journey through the chilling world of hacking, data breaches, and cybercrime. Oh yeah, I'd probably dig that one. Awesome. I'll check that out. It's the first power zone tick up that we've had in a while. Looks like the power zone's working so far. Let's go ahead and simulate it. How about we just start doing that? I'm just going to simulate more of these just to see. Well, that one's already a winner. That was a winner in one candle. That's 80 ticks. See if we can hit 125. Looks like we're probably going to. Schroden, a good episode to start with is the one about the Puerto Rican lottery. Interesting. So do you guys normally trade FOMC or at least watch it? I typically do because the signals, even though the price is moving like crazy, the signals usually work pretty good and you could make some decent sized money on that. It's this lull before the storm that is no fun. You need movement in the price to make money. He's with the FBI Cybercrime Division or something. Okay. So he's in the know with a lot of the stuff. Okay, John, waiting 15-20 minutes is a good idea with FOMC. Usually things start to get rolling by then. Well, so far, this trade looks like it would be a winner. A good winner if we hit this 125 here. This is the 15-second here. You know, one of the things that we could do, if we're just not really doing much, so we could just kind of go through these and back test on the 15 and just see how we would have done in this chop. Here, I'm going to run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back. Okay. Well, let's see how that other trade would have been doing. Still working its way to 125 ticks. Looks like it's going to get it, but it always just falls a little short. Well, would you guys be interested in having me step through the 15-second and pointing out entries and exits? Or should we just stay focused on the one? Steve says yes. Looks like Raphael says yes. All right. Well, we didn't take this trade, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. Let's go over and let's just totally ignore the higher time frames altogether. Just focus on the signals on the 15-second, and let's just see how they would have stacked up. All right, let's go ahead and start at, how about we start at 8:30 open. What is that, right? 8:30 is right here. Okay, so we've already started a big down move here by that point. Now, should we do this in replay mode? Or replay mode or the faster way, which is to just go through these and eyeball it. Replay mode is closer to like real life. So let's just do replay mode. We can do that. All right. So I'm going to go candle by candle. And I'll just try to add some commentary as we go through this. So ticking up from the lower power zone, but I'm not interested because this is a very aggressive down slope. We're under the confirmation line. So pass. Now, when you have a very aggressive down slope like this, and this candle, Delta candle, is bigger than that one, that's in the playbook. So we'll just take all of the playbook entries. How about that? Only playbook entries. So we're going to go short there. And you know what? I'm not even going to use a set take profit. I'm just going to mark it, mark the entry, and mark the exit and see where it is. Cool? All right. So right now, our delta candles are getting thicker and thicker. So as long as they're getting thicker, we want to stay in. And the conservative exit would be to exit when we get a close above the delta candles. So still in. Right there. We get a close above the delta. So I would exit here. And this is not in the playbook. However, the first close above a thin delta in the lower power zone is usually a good long. So I could go and try to, well, let's look at this one first. So that would have been, looks like 143 ticks or 35.75 points on that last one. But I'll only take playbook entry. So this is not a playbook entry here. But like I said, it's usually a good long. Yeah, we'll do that one anyway. So we're going to flip long here. And Schroden, remind me how many total playbook entries are there? Well, there's, I guess I don't know the exact number. I could pull it up and we can see. Vitally, why are you streaming? What do you mean? I guess I don't understand the reason for the question. Because I want to. We were trading live, but we were in chop, and so we're not trading at the moment. We were waiting. So instead of just sitting here, we're going to try to make some use of our time. Anyway, so I'm long here. And this is a tick down against me, so I would probably pull the plug right there. So that would be minus 15. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of these older entries. So that one in particular did not work out. I said that one was not in the playbook though, right? So, all right, we'll just do playbook entries. We'll get rid of that one. Just playbook entries. So I'm waiting for a delta squeeze here. See if we get one. All right, we have a very weak delta, a tick down from the red zone. That's a short. So I'm going to go short on the close of that candle. And depending on where your take profit was, if you're targeting the low or whatever, that could have been a winner, but we are ticking up now. So I would, we're just going to, like I said, use the actual exits on here. So we are ticking up above the delta. So that is an exit. it's not necessarily a flip because the delta is, it's not a positive slope on that. So for it to be a delta squeeze, it has to have a positive slope. You could look at the slope like this, which in many cases that does play out. But this one, I don't know. We got some really strong down delta candles in there, so I probably would not take that long. And this is a downsloping confirmation line and downsloping delta with a lower high on the signal. So lately I've been trying to take more of these because usually those end up playing out. The playbook wants you to take those in the red zone, so I'm just going to pass on it. And there is a lower high with a very weak delta, so I'm going to take that short. And we got a tick up right there, so we would exit there. All right, we got this is a delta squeeze setup. We got a positive slope on the delta, the higher low on the signal, so I'm going to take that long. And we got a tick against us, so that one is a loser. This is kind of this is one scenario I still never really, I'm always on the fence. Like, do you take the short or not? Because you just crossed above the confirmation line, so it's kind of a risky short if you do take it. Usually if you're crossing above the confirmation line, it's at this point that you should start looking for long. So we're going to look for a long. We have a negative sloping delta at that point, so that's not really a good long. See, now, see, once you start getting that delta and confirmation line that are squeezing together, it's typically where you get this bounce up. You know, you could have maybe taken this long here, but you still got that negative sloping delta. So on the 1 minute, I would prefer if that had a positive slope, but on the 15-second, looks like that doesn't really matter there. Anyway, tick down from that upper power zone. You do have a tapering delta, but at this point, it should be more bullish since the delta is above. So still looking for a long. Here's a lower high on the signal with the negative delta there. You can take that short, but again, delta's above the confirmation line, so it's a little risky. We'll go ahead and pretend that we took it, since it is negative there. That would have been a small winner. We ticked up from the green zone there. Oh, and actually, that's a long because it's a green zone tick up. Delta is above that rising confirmation line. So remember that slope here matters. If it's a positive slope, you should be looking for a long there. So that's long from here, right where we exited that other one. And would have been out right there. Almost break even on that one. Very choppy delta so far. That's another long right there. Probably would have tried to stay in that one. We did have a tick down under this delta, but we're still down here in this green zone with delta above that rising confirmation line. So ideally you want to get a tick down from that upper power zone up there. There we go. Now we're getting up there. There's our tick down. So our exit is right here. It's 23.25 points on that. Got this tick up from the green zone. That's a long. There's our tick down. Small winner there. Unless your target was up here at 80 ticks, you would have got that. This is kind of a delta squeeze setup here, but there's not really a negative slope on the delta yet, so probably wouldn't have taken that one. Looks like it would have worked out. Yeah, that one would have been pretty good. This is a tick down from the red zone. Technically, that would be a short after crossing down here. So where's this one? Right here. Yeah. Why?
I need to get some of my work done and I need to go to practice.
No, hold on, guys. All right, guys. Looks like we're going to have to cut this short. I got to go bring my daughter to school. She stayed home sick today, but she wants to go back to school. So I guess I'm going to go bring her to school. Will I be back for FOMC is the question. Let's go back to the 1 minute chart here. I know we didn't really get through that very far. Let me see where we're at right now. Looks like price is trying to climb back up here. Yeah, she wants to go to school. I think she knows that if she stays home, she can't go to hockey practice. So I think she wants to go to hockey practice. So she has to go back to do that. So anyway, I'm going to go take her to school. And I will probably be back for FOMC. Do you guys want to stream FOMC? Or should we just call it for the day? Well, I might be back for FOMC. So we'll see. If you guys are around, we'll see you later. Otherwise, I'll check you tomorrow if I'm not back. So, all right, guys, take it easy. And good luck.
Oh, wow, look at that move. It's like one of those big Delta candles. I mean, who even trades those tiny candles anymore? I like big fat candles, I can't deny. When the Delta's green and riding high, when a chart spikes thick with a bullish wick, I'm glued to my screen, that's the trick. I want to bounce quick, can't let it go. Big Delta bars, let that volume show. I'm zooming out, yeah, that's my groove. Catching waves in a Delta move. Wanna trade slow? Nah, too tame. This market's got heat, I'm in the game. Delta's skinny, not my taste. Fat candles on my happy place. Oh, traders, let me see that line. When the buyers push, I feel just fine. It's the fat move, no squeeze fake. I'm in this trend with no break. Got entries stacking tall, no weak signals, I'm all in, y'all. Skinny candles just ain't for me. Big Delta's my golden key. Sitting tight while volume pops. Green wave up won't make me stop. Short candles, nope, they're a bore. Give me fat Deltas, I want more. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through. You know, don't you fold. Big Deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make it right. I like big fat candles, can't deny. When the volume surges up so high, skinny trades can take a seat. Big fat Deltas are what I beat. Well, traders low, let me see that life is goes. I'm my happy Delta, skinny, not my taste. Fat candles on my happy place. Oh, traders, let me see that line. When the buyers push, I feel just fine. It's the fat move, no squeeze fake. I'm in this trend with no break. Got entries stacking tall, no weak signals, I'm all in, y'all. Skinny candles just ain't for me. Big Delta's my golden key. Big Delta's my golden key. Sitting tight while volume pops. Green wave up won't make me stop. Short candles, nope, they're a bore. Give me fat Deltas, I want more. Like those thick moves, yeah, yeah. I wanna break through. You know, and hold and play, don't you fold. Big Deltas fill the chart with might. Skinny moves don't make it right. Like those thick moves, yeah, wanna break through, you know. Then hold, then play, don't you fold. Big deltas fill the chart with mine. Skinny moves don't make it right.